Avinash Gorakshakar of Profitmart Securities joining in on the show today.
My sense is that I think markets are quite happy to know that this is a very major contract which the company has backed, and I think you could see revenue and profits flowing in for this financial year, that is FY 24-25. Ever since the stock got listed, when the stock got listed, it was still a loss-making company. Hopefully, I think with more and more contracts, if the company signs up, and within the logistics space. TVS supply chain is a very prominent player. They have a very strong pedigree in terms of the parentage and have been in the industry for a very long time. So I think, despite the fact that now the narratives are getting back in shape, for earnings to come in, possibly we'll have to wait for the first half of FY 24-25. So I think clearly long-term prospects look quite promising. Although in the near term, after a 5 to 6% rise, we could see a little bit of consolidation on the counter. So I think investors who already hold the stock should definitely, hold on. I think next 12 to 15 months are quite crucial. And I think definitely a significant amount of risk reward from these levels is possible. So I think it's a good beginning. It needs to further get accelerated by some more deals and get reflected into financials, hopefully from the first half of FY 24-25 onwards. Titan is a stock which is not a short-term positional stock. You need to take at least a 2 year plus view. And I think looking at the kind of increase in consumption, trend, plus the fact that Titan is a market leader in the gold jewelry segment. My sense is that I think investors should take at least a 12 to 18 month horizon here. Definitely, I think the tailwinds now appear to be quite promising. I think possibly FY 24-25 could be a lot better. The company is also planning to increase its geographical reach, increase its product bouquet. So I think despite the fact that the stock has underperformed, I think if you take a long-term view, it is a portfolio stock, and I think once the re-rating happens, the stock could be re-rated quite significantly. So I think continue to hold for long term. I think there's no need to worry for a slight dip in the stock price at the moment.
Okay.
Because I think despite the fact that last week some corporate governance issue cropped up from an independent director, and I think today I was reading about it that they have bagged some further fresh orders. So that clearly shows that the tailwinds in the wind energy market are extremely strong. The government is also now looking at promoting wind energy in a very big way, and I think Suzlon is one of the large players which makes wind turbines. So I think clearly the order book is good, visibility is good. So I think clearly, what was Suzlon about 2 to 3 years back is now completely different. If the investor has a 12 to 18 month horizon, I should think he should hold on. Better numbers would obviously re-rate the stock going forward. So I think it's a hold. It would take a little more time, considering that the equity base is large. But I think considering the order inflow now which is coming in, that is definitely going to re-rate the stock in the medium to long term. No, I think as far as Canara Bank is concerned, I think it looks more promising considering the fact that they are already in the money. They have made a little bit of profit. But I think Canara Bank reported a very robust set of numbers, bottom line of almost 15,000 crores plus their asset quality, their loan book, and plus they have a very large, housing finance subsidiary, Canfin Homes, which I think is going to get re-rated considering the recent development from the government of allocation of 3 crore, free houses announced by the government. So this is definitely going to be a booster. My sense is, over the next 6 to 12 months, one could expect a price target here of around 150 to 160. So continue to hold. As far as Power Grid is concerned, I think, the investor seems to have entered at a slightly higher level. So continue to hold. Here also, I would believe that, once the budget is announced, we get to know a lot of news flows on power generation as well as power distribution reforms from the government. That would definitely be a booster for Power Grid. So till then, I think it's better to hold on here. Look at the runway for the next 12 to 18 months. My sense is that all housing finance companies, obviously the larger ones would benefit more. But even companies like Aadhar Housing would definitely benefit because this presents them a very large opportunity for growth. And I think the government is going to announce some further incentives in the budget, hopefully on the housing front. That is going to be like a further sentimental booster. So I think post July, you could see a further re-rating. My sense is, if the investor has a 12 to 15 month kind of time frame, housing is one sector where I think a lot of announcements could come in the government's first budget, which is lined up in July. So I think definitely at these levels, if the investor has a 12 to 15 month horizon, he could definitely accumulate some quantity. But I think a medium term time frame here is required.
All right.
My guess is, Zomato is one of those food delivery app companies which is uniquely positioned. I think you got only Swiggy, which is now their competitor. The market in India is pretty huge, and I think looking at the kind of habits of most of the Indians, food delivery app companies should do remarkably well. But I think coming back to Zomato, unless the investor has a 2 to 3 year kind of time frame, because company is yet not generating profits, their cash flows are weak. So I think it's a platform business which is gradually getting ramped up. I think numbers are getting better every quarter. So unless you have a long-term vision, I think clearly 2 years plus, only then the risk reward would be quite significant because the stock has moved up quite significantly. Fresh buying, I would suggest on declines. And I mean, investors who already own it should at least take a 2 year plus view and continue to hold.